Welcome to my studio. I thought I would make a short video today for you to show you an alphabet that I'm using and a project that I'm doing for a class that I'm taking. The class I'm taking is lessons in different alphabets from historic times up till now, and it begins with the Neuland alphabet that was designed by Rudolf Koch in the 1920s and 30s. The alphabet is called Neuland. Koch was really good at writing things in the old black letter that many people are familiar with, which is this particular old-fashioned German writing here. And the alphabet that he created that we call Neuland is this sans serif alphabet that's made with a flat pen angle. It doesn't change, and so the letters are very, very blocky. They are dense and thick, and they often pack together. It looks very contemporary. So with this sans serif alphabet and the class I'm taking, my teacher has given us an assignment to, one, practice the alphabet, and then two, to come up with an art piece that includes a saying that he gave us. And so we picked out of a hat, and I ended up with a particular saying. So I'll tell you about that in a few moments, but I'll show you a couple of my practice sheets first. Here you can see I began doing the strokes that are part of the alphabet. The curves are very rigid. They don't do a lot of roundness. It's very blocky. And here I was using too tall compared to how wide each stroke is, and so I had to rework. I began playing with a larger band, larger nib rather. And here's another one. You can see I don't waste my practice paper when I can. I try to put things one on top of the other. Here you can see the difference in this word here. The letters are shorter, and in relationship to the width, they become fatter and more dense compared to if they're too tall, then they have a much lighter quality. And so that is part of, one of the marks of Neuland is this dense, fat, short quality. And so here is the little slip of paper that my professor gave us. It's a German quote because Koch was German. It's Das Leben ist kein Ponyhof. And the translation is, you can't always get what you want. And so I had to come up with a design for that and create a line. So I began, and what I wanted to show you is some of the ways that I've worked through my design process, because it's kind of fun to find out what people do. And so I started playing with the idea of Das Leben ist kein Ponyhof, and you'll notice there are other places here that I've written other things in, and I tried a little bit different color letter to put the translation in, and it doesn't work. It's way too spread apart, so I recognize that's not going to work. And I fiddled around. I've not gathered all of them, but I finally got one. This is a little closer, and then I realized even here that I don't really want this red translation line in between it. I was going to skip that and pull these closer together and take the translation and fit it. You can see my pencil. I thought, oh, let me pencil them into this part of the lettering itself. So Das Leben ist kein Ponyhof. If we can imagine taking away the red, then I'm going to slip in, you can't always get what you want. And I think it's kind of a fun way to think it through. So I had to take the messy idea and work it through to come, what was I going to do? And I didn't want to do it in black, so I began playing with a wide pen. And one of the things I did was take my, let me show you this wonderful pen. It's called a suede pen. It comes like in a tube because it's got this end that is suede. It's in a metal ferrule. And it's really interesting. It can make, I don't have any ink in it, but you might be able to see just a stroke there as I get it wet. You can see it makes a big wide stroke. And so that is our suede pen, and that keeps its nice wide flat edge. So I first started out, I took the suede pen with just water in it, and I dropped watercolor paint into it. I used my Russian watercolors. Watercolor paint dropped into plain water that had been laid down didn't work very well because I couldn't tell where the water was when I had put water down with a brush. I tried to add the color and it didn't work. So then I tried putting the color into the walnut ink, and you can see here it was kind of a disaster. It just didn't work. So I thought, okay, well, I'll try just dipping into the watercolor paint and doing it. That's kind of good, but I'm not all so great with an actual brush compared to this suede pen. The pen remains stiff, the brush does not. And so there I was, I thought, well, those two things aren't going to work. So I remembered that I had a set of pencils. So the pencils, the Derwent pencils that I use are a water-soluble pencil. They can be put down dry and you can add water, or you can put them directly into a puddle of water on the paper. I made a cheat sheet for myself, that tells all the colors of the pencils that I have. You'll notice each one of them, when you see them here in the jar, are very nondescript. It's really difficult to tell for sure what you're getting without reading the label. And so I did a test sheet. So this is my cheat sheet, and we're going to be using these Derwent pencils. There is one of the set that is called an outliner, and it does not dissolve in the water the same way as these colors do. You can notice here I got the outliner wet here at the very end and all the rest, and compared to the others, you can't make it run. And so I'm going to be using that in this particular project around each letter. And so I thought I would show you how I am going to work on this project and where it came. I wanted you to see the pencils. As I began to get my my project together, I lettered using my suede pen with my light table. I measured out and worked out my spacing, and I wrote my things, and you can see I've tightened the spacing way up. So Das Leben ist kein Ponyhof, and I also put in the placement that I wanted of my, you can't always get what you want. And so I know that, so this is my rough, and I worked this out here, and then I used my light table and I put it behind my finished piece. And so my finished piece, I'm ready to begin coloring, and that's what I'll let you watch me do. But I set it over there with the light table shining through. Then I was able to use my outliner, this outliner pencil, and go around. So I took my outliner at the light table and outlined every letter. And now I'm ready, working on my Arches text wove paper. I'm ready to begin putting in color. But before I do that, I thought I would show you some of the ways that this color choices are made and some of the things that are going to happen. This particular page shows you, I did the outline here, and you can see when I tried to work into wet here with my pencil, and it really does become saturated quickly, but it's hard to see where the paint, the water is. This one, I put the color in first and then got it wet. Here I've done what I'm planning to do, was outline and add my color and then come back with the water. So that's my game plan at this point. The next choices I had to make was what colors I wanted to use. And I want you to notice, I use junk paper, things I started and made mistakes on. I don't throw my papers away. I just ignore what I'd written there before, and I begin just using the blank white spaces to make decisions about how I'm going to do things. I set up different color combinations of pencils to decide how I wanted to color my finished product. So here I've used tangerine and sun yellow to create that one, bright blue, violet, mustard, and apple green, and I continued on doing a few more, and I decided that I really like the idea of fuchsia and poppy red and this teal green and sea blue. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't like these combinations that I came up with. They just didn't quite blow my skirt up. I also did some testing with the mechanical pencil. This is a technical pencil actually, refillable. It's called a Rapidograph Kohinoor, and it's a mechanical pencil. I have a whole set of them. They come in different widths, and so when you open it, you can see it's got a nib. I'll turn this around so you can see against white. It's got a very blunt point, and it makes what's called a monoline. If you watch, I can just, the line does not change in width. And so when I begin to write my little translation, I'll be using this Rapidograph to write in there. So here's another scrap paper practice. Ignore that, I had started another project and didn't work. This is actually text wove, just like my finished product paper. So I wanted to test to make sure that both my Rapidograph and my pencils and papers, and so I think this is going to work just great. It's not going to buckle. You can see there's no buckling when I added the water to the color. stopping by. It's been fun doing this project, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. See you next time.